Thank you for joining me for lesson 204 and 205 of Sefer HaMitzvos daily study. Today we're finishing up the mitzvah of the red heifer, positive mitzvah 113, and we're talking about a related mitzvah. The whole point of the previous mitzvah was to get to the point of positive mitzvah 108. Which itself has a point, and so we'll get to that. The second mitzvah that we're going to talk about today, we are also, like we did previously, we are going to spread that out over a few days. All right. So today we're finishing up the mitzvah of the red heifer. And we've talked about that previously. It even came up as we were talking about the mitzvah before that, which was the mitzvah regarding the corpse impurity. And that's really the reason why we have to do the red heifer ceremony in order to get the ashes and then take the ashes, mix them with water, and then use that water to purify. So the what I'm going to use to finish up talking about the process of making the ashes, etc. I'm gonna finish a chapter here. This is chapter 3 of Paradama, the red heifer in Mishnah Torah. So it's very interesting. It goes in an interesting and unexpected direction here, and I think you'll enjoy it. Starting in paragraph 3, here says, when the process of burning has been completed, its remnants and all the pieces of wood and its arrangement that were burnt with it are beaten with clubs, and everything is raked with rakes. Anything, whether from its flesh or from the wood that has been blackened and is possible to be crushed and reduced to ash, should be crushed and reduced to ash. For if something has no trace of ash on it, it is left. Any piece of bone that remains from the heifer's bones that was not burned shall be crushed regardless. All right, so finishing up after the burning to make the ash for the sprinkling. All right, paragraph 4. None of its ashes are brought into the temple courtyard for storage, as it states, and he shall place it outside the camp. The ashes were divided into 3 portions. One was placed in the Chayil, one on the Mount of Olives, and one was divided among the priestly guard posts. The one that was divided among the priestly watches was used by the priests to sanctify themselves. The one that was placed on the Mount of Olives was used by the entire Jewish people for sprinkling. And the one that was placed in the Chayil was prepared and hidden away, as implied, where it says it will be a security for the congregation of Israel. So it was kept safe. This teaches that it was put away for safekeeping. Indeed, in the Chayil, they would put away for safekeeping a portion of the ashes from every red heifer that was burned. So they had, and apparently hidden away somewhere, should be all of the ashes of the previous 9 red heifers. So 9 red heifers were offered. Here we go. From the time that they were commanded to fulfill this mitzvah until the time when the temple was destroyed a second time. The first was brought by Moshe, our teacher, Moshe Rabbeinu. The second was brought by Ezra. 7 others were offered until the destruction of the second temple. And the 10th will be brought by King Messiah. May he speedily be revealed. Amen. So may it be God's will. The interesting thing about this comes from a sikha, a teaching of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and let me look through this here. Okay, I'm going to read. This is from Likutei Sichos, volume 28. So this is a teaching of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. So there, it questions the rationale for the inclusion of this halacha. After all, the Mishnah Torah is not a book of history, but a text of halacha, of Jewish law. So Jewish law, Mishnah Torah is saying, here are things that need to be done. So why does Mishnah Torah stop and talk about that there's been 9 burnings of red heifers and then a 10th that will be brought by King Messiah? So after all, Mishnah Torah is not a book of history, but a text of halacha, of Jewish law. It mentions points of history only in as much as they affect Jewish law. Why then are the different red heifers brought previously recounted? And why is a prayer for Mashiach's coming mentioned? So why would he say, may it be God's will that he comes quickly? Likutei Sichos answers, so the Lubavitcher Rebbe answers by pointing to a difference between Rambam's treatment of the subject here and its treatment in the source, which is the Mishnah Para. The Mishnah mentions the heifers brought in previous generations as part of its description of the process of preparing the priest to offer the red heifer, as mentioned above. The Rambam, by contrast, mentions it as part of the commandment to set aside a certain portion of the ashes for safekeeping without any consideration of the function that they would play. For this reason, as an illustration of the latter point, the Rambam emphasizes that our people always had a portion of the ashes of the red heifer put away for safekeeping. After the destruction of the temple, that ceased. But with the coming Mashiach, that will change, and the mitzvah will be fulfilled as before. Immediately after mentioning Mashiach, the Rambam then adds a prayer for his immediate coming. This is also halacha, that a person should always be anticipating Mashiach's coming, the coming of the Messiah, hoping and yearning for him at all times, as implied by Rambam's words in Hilchot Melachim, so the very end of Mishnah Torah, chapter 11, 1. It is not sufficient to believe in Messiah. One must await his coming every day. For this reason, the Rambam mentions this prayer here in the laws of the red heifer, and not when speaking about the subject matter that concerns Mashiach directly. For at all times, even when we are not focused immediately on Mashiach, one must anticipate his coming. So, may he speedily be revealed. Amen. May it be God's will. Now, let's go to lesson 205, positive mitzvah 108. This is the purifying waters of the red heifer. We're commanded, and I'm just going to introduce it, and then we'll talk about it more with God's help tomorrow. Hopefully, I get a chance to do so before the holidays. So we're commanded regarding the laws of Mei Nida, the waters in which the ashes of the red heifer have been mixed. The conditions under which they purify: one who is ritually impure as a result of contact with a corpse, and the conditions under which they cause ritual impurity, which is very interesting, to the one who handles them. So the one who does the sprinkling, they become impure. So we will, with God's help, talk about that in the next couple days. Tomorrow, and then after the holidays, we'll have to play a little catch up. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great day in every way. Hopefully, this was an interesting one for you. Bye bye.